All right, we're here with Danny, the promoter from South Texas WrestleFest here in Harlingen, Texas. How's it going, Danny?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Rock?
Good, man. Good, man. How many have you done so far, bro? I've known you for quite a while. You've been doing these for quite a while, no?
Yes, sir. I have. I believe this is my third one, but I did one pre-COVID, and then I was going to do a second one, and then I just restarted all over again. So that's why this one is South Texas WrestleFest 2, but it should actually be 3, but I just kind of just reset it all.
Yeah. You've brought quite a few wrestling legends, man. I remember you brought Gangrel down.
Yeah.
You brought some other ones. Who else have you brought down?
Yeah, well, it's because I have two shows. I have a RGB Sports Show, and I have South Texas WrestleFest. And for the RGB Sports Show, I've brought down Rob Van Dam, Kurt Angle, Matt Hardy, Mark Henry, Melina, Rikishi, Steiner Brothers.
How'd you decide on the Godfather for this one, man?
Man, I've been wanting to book Godfather for a long time, but he's always booked. Mm-hmm. He's like a fan favorite, you know?
Yeah.
He's always booked. The last time I booked Rikishi, he's like, hey, bring the Godfather. He's a really good friend of mine. I'm like, man, I've been trying, but he's always booked. And then this time, I reached out to him as soon as I got a date for this one. He was the first person I reached out to, and I was lucky that he wasn't booked yet, so I booked him.
Hey, what's crackalacking, everybody? WWE Hall of Famer, the Godfather, and you're watching and you're listening to PVT, baby. Keep it going, and pimping ain't easy. Come get on the train.
1 2 1 2. Hey, 2 1 2 1. 2 1 2 1. Hey, this is Chaz Corona for hashtag PVT out here in Harlingen, Texas. And well, here we are with another Charles, Mr. Charles Wright. And you've gone by a lot of names. You've gone by a lot of characters. Obviously, you got a great costume. What is the one that everybody...
Costume.
Well, I should say...
Costume.
Let's change that.
I call this a costume.
No.
This is my outfit, a costume.
Right.
I don't even know if I want to talk to you now. A costume?
Now, let's change it up. What is the thing that everybody comes to you and tells you is their favorite memory of yours that they've seen you?
With the Godfather, it'd be the girls, man. It'd just be different times with the girls, different situations. I might have came out with 5 girls. One time at a Royal Rumble, I think I came out with 30 girls, and that's another one. I think people just enjoyed the character a lot, and the girls, of course.
Now, you were saying earlier, we were talking, and you were saying that you've known The Undertaker way before he got into the WWE. How did that friendship start?
They had brought me into Memphis to wrestle Jerry Lawler, so I went through this whole program with Jerry Lawler, and then I was pretty green, so when I got done, they didn't know what to do with me. They wanted to keep me around, so they said, we're going to bring this tall, redheaded kid in to work against you. And I'm like, all right. So at that time, Mark was Master of Pain.
Okay.
So we had a match together that he talks about all the time, and it was so terrible. It was so terrible, mainly because of me, that they made us a tag team. And this was probably 87, 88, and since then we've become very, very good friends.
Fair to say, probably one of your closest friends?
Wrestling-wise, yes. In fact, he's not even a friend. I more call him a bro. And I mean not like, hey, brother. I mean like brother.
Yeah. Now, one of the guys that I'd heard you teamed with was Bam Bam Bigelow in Japan. Now,
wow, you're going back.
Yeah. Now, tell me, what's it like working in Japan when some of the opponents don't even speak English? And what was it like teaming with Bam Bam?
I only teamed with him a few times out there. It was fun working with him. He had so much knowledge. But, I mean, once you know how to work, it doesn't matter if you speak Japanese, you know, Spanish or whatever it is. You just work around it because you know what's going on. It was fun working with him. He taught me a lot. It was fun working in Japan because it was more physical, and it was easier for me to lay stuff in than it was to pull stuff. So I had a great time in Japan, man.
Now, one of your best characters, well known as Papa Shango, how did they present that to you? Did they say, hey, here's what we want to do? Or how was that whole thing set up towards you?
When that started, I showed you some pictures earlier. I was a biker. And when I mean biker, I mean real biker, not just somebody that rode a bike. I mean, I'm the only black guy back in the 80s that was sleeved up, I was a biker.
How did they present Papa Shango? What did you think of it?
Wrestling came to me. I wasn't a wrestling fan. I was a roller derby fan, believe it or not. And the roller derby was bigger in the 70s than wrestling. So they were filming a movie called Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. It was an arm wrestling movie. I was working in a topless club. And all those guys a lot of those guys, Scott Norton, a lot of those guys were wrestlers in that movie. And they would come to the club, and I was just big. They're like, dude, you should become wrestling. I'm like, I don't want to do that wrestling. They're like, do you know Bam Bam Bigelow? And I'm like, yeah. And they said, well, he made $1 million last year. And I went, wrestling? I made a call. A year from then, I was wrestling in Japan. That's how quick it happened. I got to try. When Vince called me, Vince hired me. I got a tryout with them. Vince hired me. He says, you're hired. We're going to put you on payroll. He says, but you have a baby face. He goes, you got a body of a monster, but a baby face. He goes, we got to do something with that face. He called me a month or two later and says, Charles, go rent the movie Live and Let Die. He goes, there's a voodoo character in there, and we're going to play off of him, and that's where the character. You know what I said? Okay.
Yeah.
I was just happy to be there, you know, so it was fun.
Did you, when you first dressed up as Papa Shango, did you think, hey, this is going to have a good long run? Did you have the impression like this is going to work? What was your take on it?
I didn't think that way back then. I was just in the moment. It was fun. The very first time we did it, I came back through the curtain, and everybody at the grill is looking at me. They're looking at me, and Vince does and I'm like, what? He goes, do you realize that you're not Charles Wright, that you're a voodoo man? And I went out there, and I'm just wrestling like normal, dressed as Papa Shango. He goes, no, man, I want you shaking and doing all that stuff. So I had to go out again and do the match again. And I'm like, oh, wow, because it didn't realize to me that I was a voodoo man. I was just being me.
You were, you weren't thinking in character.
No, I wasn't thinking, but it came to me.
Now, in the Nation of Domination, you were with The Rock. Back then, when you were first with him, did you think to yourself, this guy is a little bit different? Or did you think, what was your first impressions of him?
There's so much talent in the WWE at the time, and I mean, there's a lot of talent there. Just a lot of people don't get the opportunity to be The Rock. Yeah. He took the opportunity and ran with it. But Vince did tell us, when they put me in the Nation, Vince told me and Ron, once I get people to hate this kid, meaning Dwayne, he goes, when I turn him, he's going to be the biggest thing wrestling ever saw. And Vince did say that. So you've
tagged with a lot of different guys. Who did you feel like, hey, you know what? This is fun. This is easy working with this guy as a tag partner.
You know what? You'd have to look at that the other way. I probably wasn't the easy one to work with. Dude, I've always had fun. I've never had problems with anybody. Even if I didn't like you, we got along. So, I mean, it was easy. It was fun working with him. I've worked with a lot of people, especially Godfather. Godfather's worked with about everybody. If not against them, they were on my side as a tag team.
Now, as you look back and on your colorful career, is there a match? And it's hard to pick a match that you can say, oh, this is my favorite, or I like this. But is there one that stands out for you for any reason, whether it's comical or emotional or sentimental, or what match stands out to you?
I don't have a match like that. You'd be better off asking me, what was your best match against Bret Hart? What was your best match against Undertaker? I mean, I've had so many good matches against so many good people that it's hard to say. I can't recall one. I know that my best technical match was against Shawn Michaels. I think it was the Survivor Series in the 90s, and we had to go 20-minute Broadway, and that was probably the best match I was ever in, and that's because he called the match.
Now let's talk about, you do have a product that you sell, and we were talking about that. Why don't you tell everybody about your new business?
I don't know if it's new.
Well, new to us.
I'm sure everybody out there knows I'm a big cannabis person, always have been. And in California, at Dr. Green Thumbs, which is Be Real owns a bunch of Dr. Green Thumbs from Cypress Hill. I think he owns 8 or 9 of them in California. I have my own strain called Insane Godfather, and you can find it's only in those stores, though, because it's a premium product.
Well, there you have it. Keep your eyes out for that product. Papa Shango, Godfather, thank you for being here on #PVT. Thank you for coming down to Texas. And let's give a big salute to everybody out there in PVT.
If it ain't easy. what's crack-a-lackin', everybody. WWE Hall of Famer, The Godfather, and you're watching and you're listening to PVT, baby. Keep it going, and pimpin' ain't easy.
Man, pimpin' ain't easy.